From Disney, there was not much work back then. When the mine opened, I had an opportunity to go work for a mining company. So it did a lot for me.
Working with a team, working with people with a common interest in building something.
There aren't many people in the mining industry who don't know Troilus, or who don't talk about Troilus.
It's a place where there's a lot of memory and there's a lot of good ones.
Troilus for me represents the first real opportunity Mistissini as a community had to get involved in mining and to become more active in the development of the territory and of its resources.
Maybe in this area would be the first time that natives actually integrated with the white and actually starting up a project this huge and work together.
Mistissini decided at that point, rather than have an approach of seeking pure compensation, wanted involvement, especially employment and opportunities for its members and its people. That's how the relationship was built, and that's how the agreement was developed between the two.
For the Mistissini people, the Troilus project brought some hope and I think raised the spirit of the community. It was the first project where a mining company actually sat down with the community to make an agreement on what type of benefits and opportunities the community will be given.
It was a one-time life opportunity, to open a mine from scratch, and work with the Cree because it's a new community, and say, let's see how best we can do that. At the beginning, I thought it was going to take, I don't know, a few weeks at the beginning. After that, maybe a day here, a day there. I tell you, at the beginning, I had to take about 2 days to 3 days per week to discuss with them.
You gotta know their culture. You gotta know other people on their bases because you're coming into their areas and you have to see their point of view also. And they've understood a lot. I was persistent just to make sure that they heard that I was willing to come in here.
They said we wanted to drive those big Tonkas. Some of them, they don't even have driver's license. We found a good base to say, okay, here what we can do, and started after that the training. And it went pretty well.
Both parties were able to work together to develop training programs where it was needed to look at life skills that people had or past skills and how to integrate them into the mining industry, and how Inmet Mining on its part worked to better integrate the Crees and advance them throughout the project.
Through training, through experience, through the chances that our people were given, we were able to prove that we can work as well as any other person in the mining industry.
Oh, I just applied the job and I got hired. The training on my 150-ton truck. That's how I started here.
Be able to actually drive machines that are worth that much is not an everyday thing, that's for sure.
Because they didn't know something else, in a sense, they don't know much. I mean, if you start to work with what I call a non-Cree person, they say, well, I know how to drive, I know this, I know that, so they don't really listen properly the training. because they know everything, you know. But these guys, they knew very, very little. They was listening and very disciplined and respecting all the rules to properly and safely operate these equipment. It's been very successful.
We've taught them several jobs: truck operator, shovel operator, tractor operator, blaster, and dynamiter. So we're very proud of having taught them all these skills, and they learned them all very well. They manage very well. They cooperated 200% with us.
Every day was like a challenge, and every day was like a learning experience, and you can't come in here and say you know everything already. It's always going to be something that's going to surprise you, and you tend to look out more for the new people that are always coming behind you, and to make sure that they're not saying that I can do this, I can do that. And you can see that something's going to happen, so you just kind of watch out for everybody. And everybody was watching out for everybody.
At one moment, I believe that the percentage of Cree people working in the mine was, I don't know, 60%, 65%, working on shifts.
For sure, it meant a lot for Mistissini, especially in the first few years where between 80 and 100 guys from Mistissini were working at Troilus. And if you look at a lot of the businesses that have gone up in Mistissini in the last few years, there's always been a Troilus connection. Guys that have worked at Troilus, guys that have used the socioeconomic fund. So it was always very present in the way things were done.
I was in Mistissini before, and I couldn't really find a job there. So I saw this posting, mining. So I came down, did everything, passed my test, and I got in. I've been working here for 7 years. Big machines like this, they're incredible.
They were a model in the community because I was looking at these people. I'm working at Troilus. They were like this a little bit. I'm working at this. I'm driving that big truck. I'm operating that drill. I'm operating that large shovel. And some of them has been promoted. Some of them became foremen in charge of group and so on, which I believe is quite successful within not a too long period of time.
We all graduated a little bit at the start. We worked as mechanics, as team leaders. Like me, now, I'm a mechanics foreman. So all of us have taken a place in there that we've graduated to. We worked together. The team spirit was just great at Troilus. Certainly. Look, we had a meeting at noon to highlight the 2 millionth ounce of gold that we produced recently. The official date is June 16th, which was last week.
I got a promotion. That's where I got into the gravimetry circuit, and I was making the gold bars at my last 3 years at the mine.
They had to deal with our culture, and we had certain things that we were allowed to do, which we had to ask permission, like the goose break. They had to plan that in.
It's fishing time, it's hunting time. They don't like to plan. They see the geese in the sky, and they say, well, bye boss, I mean, we'll see you a little bit later.
When I arrived at the Troilus mine, I took over from my predecessor, François Fleury. And as far as the Crees are concerned, I wasn't known among them. So I went towards them. We communicated, and we worked a lot on mutual respect. Even if there were differences, we mostly worked to find solutions. When the confidence was established, it was at that moment that we could start working together.
At the beginning, we've kind of like hit some bumps, but we worked everything out. We smoothed things out.
We have the professional framework and the social framework, which is practically associated at the same time with our professional life at Troilus. So for sure, sometimes it made us develop closer bonds with people.
Inmed also came up with some cultural activities, not only for the Mistissini people, but also for the other workers to get to know a little bit about the culture and the social environment of the Cree. So it was unique in that way.
It was really a family at Troilus, for sure. It's sad to leave all that, but we're happy to see the work accomplished. It's the result of all those years spent at Troilus. We had a good result because we did a very good job at that mine.
When I first went in Troilus, I felt a bit left out because I didn't speak French when I went in. But as I learned French, then I slowly moved into the family, and I can say that Troilus mine did respect all the natives, and they treated everybody equally, because when we started, everybody had a white safety helmet, so that was a symbol stating that everybody will be treated equally at the mine site.
You are the one that's going to be putting that system all together and make one system that works. And raising the standards was something I got a kick out of. That I liked. And Inmet, I can thank Inmet for letting us in here. That's for sure. It's the greatest experience, probably not the greatest, but I can say it was a big part of my life. That's for sure.
For sure, it was a learning experience, and all learning experiences are not always positive, but what's important is that people want to learn, and people want to learn and move on, and I think that's what a lot of it is. And I think the Crees have learned for the environment, you know, what worked, what didn't work, and they'll be seeing in the coming years how they can adjust to all of that.
The territory has been inhabited by the Crees for thousands of years. They live traditionally from hunting, fishing, trapping. As far as protecting the environment is concerned, the programs, the policies, the processes are very, very specialized, very specific. The Cree community has been involved in the project right from the beginning.
The environmental programs were improved and were better than the standards because of the knowledge. So it complemented what the project wanted to do in terms of culture, respecting the land, and respecting the people also.
We had to present our closing restoration program to the Cree communities in order to get their agreement and to address any of their issues, their expectations.
There was data that was collected before we were even present on site and before we had an impact. Today, at closing, they come in very handy because we can evaluate the impact of the project.
There was a little lake here that first had to be drained. After that, there was what we call the overburden layer that we removed and piled up over there. And we started the mining operations at the beginning of autumn 1996. Once the mining operations are finished, there's still a lot to do. There's a whole restoration program to be put in place, what's called disturbed land, piled up rocks, pits that have been dug and used, buildings that should be dismantled. All of this should be brought back, if you will, to the natural state. We've already begun replanting vegetation, moving the rocks, for 2 years. You see that in certain places the vegetation is growing back really well. The goal is that it goes back to its natural state or the closest to its natural state in the 2 coming years. It's the commitment of the Inmet Mining Corporation. It's the commitment of the Troilus Division. That's how it's going to be done.
Inmet tried to, accommodate as much as possible the knowledge of our people when it came to land and environment.
If we look at the three main branches, if we look at the relation with the Cree, if we look at the environmental aspect, we're innovative as well. Then for the files, if we talk about standard for the mining industry, these adjustments were being eyed for years and years. But nobody had the, let's say, courage to develop this operation. The Osisko's project in Malarctic, if the project took off, I think it's mostly because Troilus proved that we're capable of large-scale mining in the north.
It is a very low-grade mine, so we can't make mistakes. We always have to be champions in every category, and that's difficult. Continually train and retrain people and find technological means that the company provided us, that was fantastic. And it allowed us to solve each problem and always keep our morale high, and above all, feel proud about doing quality work.
Surtout la fierté de faire un travail de qualité.
We had a very good team, very dedicated, committed to the same objective, working together with all those different culture. We have learned that, when you're all aiming in the same direction, you can do a lot.
The Cree community grew with us. The people are independent, and they have pride. They worked hard to acquire what they have, but they are very grateful to us as well. They are people who are very generous, very human, very endearing.
Troilus gave me the opportunity. Now I have my own house, I have a family, I have my own car, and that's what Troilus gave me. So it's a bit of a sad day for me, saying farewell to mining, to Troilus. It's a sad thing for me.
If there's one thing we can be proud of, that's having trained around 225 Cree employees who today can find jobs in different fields, such as hydroelectric or offshore mining projects.
Met is a very, very strong company in that sense. They can adapt, they accept the differences between the people, and they work with those differences. And I believe they're very proud to do that.
What they've learned, the company, is that they have to be open and they have to see that we're not, how you can say, stereotype. We do have our qualities in our communities and everywhere. You can see it in just talking to them.
I think we've also served as a model for lots and lots of other industries for development in the north. And I think we're going to be a sort of pioneer with the Cree agreements that we worked on.
Troilus brought Inmet a lot of experience in working with local communities, communities that don't have any mining experience, and work in a climate of transparency, confidence, and mutual respect. These three qualities, Inmet learned, it knows them well, and it's going to use them in other areas where it wants to build a mine by working with the local community.
With all the memories that we have here and all the experience that we learned, I raise my hat. I take my hat off to Inmet.
long-term impacts, I think, will be more of our people having the skills now and ready to take on higher positions for the next mining projects that come along.
My greatest pride is when I walk in the streets and someone says to me, "François, I'm working for company XYZ, and I have a good salary, and I can feed my family." That's important.
I think you're gonna look around just before you leave, and like you can think of all the people that have already passed, and all the memory of all the people that you met, and there was a reason that you actually get to meet them. It's kind of like a tearjerker. That's what they call it. You always want to come back. It's like a second home. Sorry.
It's going to be difficult because my heart is still there. When I'm done mourning, I'm going to be happy to have accomplished, to have guided the ship to the shore.
Jusqu'au port.